Nice to see all these beautiful faces today. All right, let's start. Looks like the first one I see is Marcus. How you doing, Marcus?
Hey, Josh.
What's
Excuse
happening?
me. Uh, well, I had a question that I'd been meaning to ask all week,
All right.
but I always come to these sorts of meetings with questions that I've saved up, and I do it as some kind of armor,
Mm,
I guess, to deal with like social anxiety.
mm.
And it just struck me that it's all bullshit. Um, I'm just scared of being present without a question, with just naked,
Ah,
without a question.
mm.
Um, just staring at you and you staring at me. But I'm also tired of that bullshit.
Yeah, man.
It doesn't get me anywhere.
Mm.
So I guess I'll just say, I don't know that I've got a question, but there's a shit ton of stuff going on.
What's coming up? What do you feel?
Um, there's just a lot of energy,
Mhm.
a lot of reactivity in the body. I don't have a name for it. I can localize it to kind of like around here and in my face. And it feels like I want to be here. I don't want to be here. Like I can feel the excitement and the resistance.
Sure.
Um, and you talked about stillness, and I don't fucking know what stillness is. There's never stillness. It's so dynamic
Well,
and
you
scary
have a
and
point. It is
like
dynamic,
a tornado of sensation.
always. That's the
Um,
nature of aliveness, my friend. When we don't have something that's actively distracting or covering that up in some way, when the hologram is off, um,
yeah,
this is what lies beyond that illusion, that distortion. Just this. That's stillness. So to clarify, to make it a little bit more clear, because in a way that's a question, but not really. So it's great. I'm glad you shared it.
yeah,
Stillness is really looking at the unnecessary secondary motions of mind, the things that want to move in to fix something or adjust something. That when we see those actions seemingly taking place, or we feel baited, or we feel the urge to do something, don't. That's stillness. And you're right, it's quite alive. I mean, the paradox becomes very apparent. Somehow the river is flowing, and I can be floating on that river. And sometimes I'll have a sense that nothing's moving at all. Other times it'll feel quite dynamic. That's it. And then the mind will come in and it'll say, well, oh, I got to do something about this, or I should ask a question, or maybe I should turn off my camera, or man, you know what I need? I need to grab a snack, or I really need to use the restroom right now. And you'll start to notice all of these like tiny little suggestions that show up in the mind, either as a thought that we want to meet, or as an urge that's kind of more subconscious. Oh, got to do something. And the recommendation is,
mm,
so what comes up? Is it just feeling? Is there urge?
yeah. It's it's just intensity,
Yes, man.
and I don't even know that I'm connecting with you on a verbal level.
Good.
Like I think in the same way that I'm sick of my words. It's
Mhm.
like right now I'm just sick of words.
I get it. The true language that we're speaking anyway is this energy. So
Yeah.
it's irrelevant what I say, I promise, doesn't matter. If it if it intrigues, if it ignites some curiosity, there you go. That's it. Very simple.
Mm.
sometimes bold, sometimes soft.
I
Hmm.
I mean, I guess that's it. It's so not it, but
I know.
I don't want to take up all the time.
I want to keep you on the hook for a little bit.
Okay.
Um, Not as punishment.
Yeah. No, do.
I feel like it's rich right now. There's something that we can strike a little bit. Nothing needs to happen. Okay, so no expectation here, but let's just see where this goes.
Yeah.
What kind of emotional tone does it start to bring up? Do you notice anything? Does it stem from the belly or do you feel something in the solar plexus?
It's
Just
right now primarily in the head,
okay.
and it I don't know that I've got a label for it, but it's just very vulnerable.
Okay, good. Stay with that vulnerability. Just notice that kind of stark nakedness, that openness, that edginess to it. And see if there's anything else that's corresponding in your experience. Stay with it and just notice if there's anything else that's kind of alerting or signaling or crying out in some way.
I can again feel the push and the pull.
Stay with it. But there's a sense of helplessness in that.
Yeah, there's helplessness.
Hone in on that. I got you. I'm just going to walk with you no matter where you go and no expectation. Stay with it. What does it want to do?
It just feels stuck.
Okay.
Like it feels on the brink, like on the brink, but like can't get over the brink.
This is good. There is no over the brink right now. There's just the brink. Stay right there on the brink. The mind will imagine some sort of conclusion or outcome. Don't worry about it.
Mm.
Just this. Stay on that brink. See if you notice like an increase of something somewhere.
Yeah, there's like an expansion against the resistance. There's like a pushing
Good.
against
Stay
it.
with it. Yeah. Nothing needs to happen, but just see what it does if you allow that all the way. Just stay with that. If it doesn't move, that's okay too. It doesn't have to. Just see what happens. Let it get to the point where you start to feel like you're at a threshold and stay there at that threshold. It will start to express itself spontaneously if you keep allowing it. Maybe body motion, maybe sound, maybe words will come out, maybe an emotional emoting. Stay with it. Don't fix it. Notice your breath and see if your breath is attempting to adjust something, and then see if you can allow it to return to a natural breath.
There's a relaxing down away from it.
Okay. Stay with that too, but don't let go of whatever that seems to be. Keep both, hold up both of these truths simultaneously.
Mm.
You're doing great. This is good. Stay with it. Don't let these thoughts interfere. Nobody has any expectations.
There's so much frustration. Like, why won't this resolve into anything?
That's just the mind, man. The mind has a requirement that it has to resolve, but who's to say? What is the end of the beginning? And that frustration is also okay. Look, we need to allow it to express itself irrationally. That's the that's the
Mm.
cleanest type of expression here. Because what that means is it's not living in any guidance of the mind. Let it be absolutely irrational. It doesn't have to make sense in that way. Ask for more. What does that frustration want to do?
It's right now it's pressure that's coming from myself to put words to this.
Okay, well, you don't have to. Just a reminder, and you can. And you don't have to. That push pull is okay too. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, moment to moment, instant to instant. Improv, play.
Yeah, there's no label I can put on this. It's just other than intensity.
Yeah, no label needed. Intensity
And like
work.
intensity and resistance to intensity.
Okay, so this is a perfect time just to bring this up. Notice something is arising and kind of developing, doing its own thing, and then something else wants to come in and kind of repress or
Yeah.
alter it in some way. I just want you to become really curious about how that system is functioning. It's a good time to look at it now, but you don't no expectations of how this goes. Because at some point you'll realize that there's a level of complicity in repression and you won't anymore.
You know that chest out like Superman
Yeah.
thing. It's like there's a push in that direction, like a masculine
Let it.
kind of thing that's also got like resistance to it in that.
Yeah. Embrace that too. Let it play itself out. Let it get weird. It's going to.
It's weird.
It's going to get weird. Let it get weird. You have to. It's the only way. It speaks on its own terms. It expresses in its own way.
I'm just gonna trust you to cut this off when you want to, because I see all the hands up and I'm aware of
Mm.
time and not wanting to be
I,
ungenerous with it.
I totally don't want to support that. I know where it's coming from though, but you understand
Oh, I understand. I also understand that's me trying to get off the hook.
a little bit. And also, I do think there's probably some
There's,
compassion in there.
yeah,
These are simultaneous truths again. Do you see how you can't really be defined when you're holding these simultaneous truths? Most people
yeah,
struggle with this idea of hypocrisy, but that is what it is to be a human being, to be a living creature, is to have these simultaneous things going on all the time. It's okay. I
yeah.
understand.
The mind just wants to put a tag on it.
So here's where I think we can kind of transition here. Just re-emphasizing, get to know it as it starts to bubble up and it feels like it hits that wall or whatever. Get to know,
Mm,
really watch closely what comes in and how it like tamps it down, how it attempts to
mm.
adjust it, how it attempts to prevent it. And I think you'll start to have some insight there. But this was a fantastic demonstration of that.
Yeah,
Good stuff, man.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, and thank you everybody for holding space for that.
Yeah, this is a good place for it, man.
Thank you.
So good. Thank you. Thanks, Marcus. All right, let's go to Chase.
Way. Uh, Marcus, thank you. That I he voiced everything I've experienced before too. I absolutely love that. My question, yeah, I also had the same thoughts that Marcus did. I didn't want to come here showing up with stuff. I was so put off by narrative, but it was about time and free will. If I if I told you that like the day after we had our last one-on-one,
Mm,
and I was relaxed and um, I was just taking a break at lunch kind of thing.
mm,
And if I told you I experienced time vertically instead of horizontally, would that be something that you've heard before?
for sure. I mean, omnidirectionally. Yeah.
That's I, it's such a weird thing to say. I'm glad that I could say weird things to you. Um, that okay. Yeah, the fact that I experienced time is baffling. Because what is that? Like I didn't know that you could experience time, but I must have experienced a contrast uh, of some sort because there is nothing without contrast, right? There must have been some sort of I don't want to read too much into it, but it's baffling the implications of it. The more I go down the rabbit hole of that experience. Uh,
There's a lot
'Cause-
to say about that, but it's a unique kind of experience. It's reported all the time. I hear it all the time in different ways. The experience of time is definitely not contained in thought, but somehow it seems to show up in this way. Like it can appear as a shape or a series of shapes or a type of motion. And what it gives a little sense of is the way they talk about three dimension, two dimension, one dimension is that any experience in a dimension higher, so like for instance, a third dimensional experience can penetrate in and out of a two-dimensional experience all the time because it's operating with another plane. And time itself seems to have what we call time or the essence of what is, seems to have a fourth dimensional quality. And the way that tends to peek through in experience is it just kind of randomly arises, shows up, and appears as something that seems notable or noticeable. That doesn't necessarily mean it's an object, but the experience itself, um, it kind of leaves us invariably changed. It leads to a profound sense of insight for sure. The first time I ever had anything like that, it was a meditation, and it was like somehow being a part of this infinitely wide teal disk that was flowing in itself like this at the top and out of itself simultaneously. And then there was like this feeling of zooming into all that and seeing that every single aspect of that disk were these tiny, tiny threads that were teal in color, and they were interconnecting with each other and everything else, and it didn't have a finite quality to it. It was somehow in and out of itself at the same time. And it was very profoundly obvious after that meditation that that was the essence of time. But putting that into words it just ceases to make
yeah,
sense.
yeah, I can give you like a, like another like it makes sense to me when I say it, but like that whole story, I can see that it makes sense to you in a much deeper level than it would for me ever, right? It's kind of
Oh, you mean by
incredible.
hearing it? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And and there's no it's like there's no certainty that fourth dimension there is
Right.
it can't be one thing and be infinite at the same time and where are these insights coming from to me? I'm not asking for them. I'm not
Yeah.
creative. I mean, this is the abolishment of free will or an aspect of it besides like the direct sensory response, right?
Speaking to the absolute quality of this, it's inherent, it's non-centralized, it doesn't come from anywhere, it has no origin, it has no beginning nor an ending. It is everything. Everything that seems to exist contains all of the information of the universe. It's kind of like that, and it's very hard for a mind to grasp. But it does become profoundly more and more obvious in some sensory way. And then
Yeah.
and then we start to see how the energetic movements of whatever seems to be going on, once it hits the thought layer or the brain layer, sometimes it can show up as an insight that can be shared in some capacity, but it loses some fidelity every time it is spoken of in language.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
we recognize the loss of fidelity. And one of the first things that tends to happen along the path is we recognize the uselessness of speaking about things. It starts to become really obvious that the reason monks take vows of silence is because there's nothing to say that's inherently true. It poses itself immediately. It's paradoxically true and not true simultaneously. But there is something in the expression of it itself that is almost like an energetic sharing or connection or reaching out. And that seems to be a discernible quality to this. So people always say, well, if there's nothing to say, then why won't you guys shut up? It's like, well, you got a point. But secondarily, there is something else that seems to be transmitted somehow. And it's not transmitted in terms of it comes from me to you. It's transmitted in the way of like a light or a vibration showing up it, and then your vibration sympathetically vibrating simultaneously. It's an invitation.
Is that bidirectional?
It's non-directional. It's already completely ingrained. It's already here. Every insight that has ever existed is here. And these, you will notice as insights continue to arise, that if you, this happens to me all the time, insights will show up and then somebody will send me an article that a Buddhist monk said or something from Advaita. And it's the same type of insight because it is inherent. It's already present. It's already completely built in. So it doesn't even have a direction. It doesn't really move from one place to another. It's like a superposition. It's quantum in such a way. It's in
I'm,
one place and another place entangled simultaneously. This is the nature of consciousness.
I meant more like you were expressing that like the communication comes to me and it's a vibration and the I experience that thought and thought can form language. Uh, that modality, that function, I'm wondering if it can go in a different direction, a, a non-physical form of communication.
Of
Uh,
course, that's actually what's happening is that you're already
okay.
vibrating sympathetically, but somehow attention rests with it. And it's not because there was a communication or a pointing. That's what the mind says. But what we're really doing is allaying certain aspects of the mind. And as it winds down, something else becomes a lot more noticeable. And
Yeah.
it's already done. So no one learns anything in this process that they don't already know. So what is there to learn?
Yeah, because it seemed that's what I thought that too. It's so counterintuitive. This was already here, and I think I was just so focused in a thought, as we all are have been, and
That's
I wasn't noticing it. I guess I was so focused over here. I, I was always running from a bear in the woods, kind of thing. I guess if you were, I was so focused on the bear in the woods, I wasn't looking at anything else. Kind of, I guess is one silly way to put it.
Vedanta has three layers of consciousness they speak about. They refer to the thought layer as illusory, illusion. They refer to like relative physical reality as the transactional, and then they refer to the great everything that is as the absolute. Um, Part of this is realizing also the absolute harmony in all perceptive layers of consciousness. So, another reason we're doing this is because we're aligning a particular layer of consciousness. It's strange, but thoughts begin to align somehow. They're not caught up in a person that's needing to protect anymore. They're simply somehow referring to experience in an aligned way all the time. It's like looking outside and the thoughts say, green. And sure, that's a word and that distorts the experience to some degree, but it's aligned to the experience also to some degree. So as you begin to realize more of the absolute nature of this and fully engage with the transactional 3D body-oriented nature of this, all of these things begin to collapse into just this.
I've noticed that on our last one-on-one, I talked about like feeling like I'm in a flow and I can tell when I'm not in it at the same time or something. Okay. That in and of itself is very interesting. It kind of I goes back to the whole free will thing. And I want to say I almost want to like throw away that word because it means something. There's like what I thought it meant. It's like saying enlightenment. I don't like the word because I still have an association with what I thought it meant. it seems like we know that having your attention on something has an impact. And it's like I almost want to associate it with attention, free willed attention.
And you're you're about to bubble. You're right on the edge of something. Because the nature of attention is that's a good first step in realizing the nature of attention. Then the next part is where is there no attention and is there ever attention vacancy? And it starts to become profound. That the sense of the aperture opens so widely that there is nowhere there is no attention. And that's becomes very obvious.
that that aperture, I I I know what you're saying with that. Because it, there was something about like I like listened to, like I had a drive I had to go on for work, and instead of listening to junk food, I thought I would listen to something that you had on your YouTube channel, since you're not junk food. but
I mean,
but you just started out by saying, "What is the nature of attention?" And zoop, ZOOP. That's a word for it, right?
I
Zoop.
like it.
In the aperture expanded, but I, there's that contrast again. I I didn't even recognize that I had a preference to stay in the zoop mode, if you will. Uh, and it's like I have like I'm naturally gravitating towards that, and I could see that. But I don't know if there's also a way to deepen insight or stay into that or exercise it somehow. Like I need to. I don't know uh, if that brings anything to you.
I'll leave it with a pointing that
Words. Thank you.
is instead of a teaching, let's make it more interactive. We'll see if I can form this into an effective line of questioning for you. Um, we'll call it the tetralemma instead of a dilemma. Dilemma, it has four sides. Is there truth? Is there attention? Is the first question. Exploring that. Second question, is there non-truth or is there no truth? Exploring that. Is there both truth and not truth? Exploring that. And is there neither truth or non-truth? And this will show you something about the nature of attention, but there is no tracking this. Explore it firsthand and it becomes apparent. There is, there isn't, there both is and isn't, and there neither is or isn't. Explore that way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Josh, and thank you to the rest of the group too. I really appreciated this group and all their sharings.
Mhm.
Uh,
Potent people here.
yeah, yeah, it's very helpful. Thank you, guys.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
All right, let's go, Andy.
Wow. Potent indeed. I'm always in awe of how good you are at this, Josh. It's just amazing how like Chase was asking questions that I felt like I was also asking as he was asking them. Very synchronistic. And he talked about how insights open up, and it's like, damn, you're really insightful. And I feel like things are opening up for me too. Slowly but surely, I really trust this process.
Mm,
And I know that you invited us to not need to know, but there's still like, I wouldn't call it seeking energy, but there's still like deep curiosities about what's going on here.
that's okay.
Yeah, I know. And I trust that too. And, you know, I don't have an attachment to needing to know, but the curiosities are still there. Like, how are these synchronicities happening? You know, like, um, is it like a greater mind opening up more to itself, or is it just energies that the former mind was heavily filtered, you know, was not seeing, and now it's opening up to that and whatnot. All the metaphysics of it is still very interesting to me. and you seem to be really, really insightful into that. But you don't always have to talk about it, which is really cool too. I definitely sense more freedom here, more clarity, which is really nice. Um, Things that were confusing before, like what maybe you or Angela would talk about, like there's no distance in the sense of space or the sense of distance or depth. Like if I really settle into here, I see this just almost as just like an image, like an interface maybe, and the body and the environment just seem to be seamless. It's just like one interface, if I can call it that.
Mm.
Um, there's definitely no fireworks, no rainbows here. It's just this. Thoughts are arising. If I call myself the body, I definitely don't believe that. But I don't know what's left. Like I trust the process. I know it's still going. But I don't know if this is non-dual or not non-dual. I don't I don't know where to go from here. Whereas before there was a practice, there was something to do. And a while ago you spoke of like if you don't feel resistance and take on a modality or something. I'm curious if you can talk more about like what that means, like what a modality would look like,
Mm.
and if that would apply here, what you might be feeling, what might be going on or not going on.
I would say one of the most primary modalities that you're probably well aware of is just inquiry itself can be taken on as a modality. Um,
Okay.
the true nature of inquiry is it begins to show us the essence of curiosity. And so at some point, the curiosity needs no verbal question.
Right.
Um, the other modalities can be something more body oriented, depending if that is showing up in a way that's gathering curiosity and interest. So things like TRE, other somatic practices. Some people take on fetter work, but I give always a little bit of caution with fetter work because if you know that you're a puzzle, you like puzzles in some way, and you're kind of intellectual in that way, then the fetters can actually become more of a crutch because it can feel that way for people, a puzzle to solve. And I got to move on to the next one. So I remind people of the 11th fetter, which no one speaks about, and that is the fetters themselves.
Yeah, I'd say to that, like when I came across the feta work, uh, I can I can work with it one by one, but it doesn't resonate with me as much as what I've been coming across more lately of what you talk about, and or maybe in previous videos, but just really feeling into this, just feeling. Whereas before I definitely admit to intellectualizing a lot. And that led me to, oh, I am awareness. I am awareness, and there's what there's aware of. And I don't find the line between the two nearly as much. I mean, it still comes, there's still a slight localization, I feel like sometimes if, you know, like, sorry, I'm confusing myself a little bit. The most recent thing that's been helping me is what you might have mentioned, maybe Angelo, but like in the hearing is only the heard, and the seeing is only the seen. So I've been working with that lately, and it's been quite helpful in dissolving that boundary between it seems like awareness or this the seer um, and the
Perfect.
seen, and it's been really helpful. But otherwise, I'm just trusting this process, and I'm really glad to be here. I'm really grateful. Um, I didn't know that that this can happen, and I didn't know it's like this. Like it's not like what I thought at all. Going through a whole spiritual journey of trying to figure out what all the dimensions are and all the psychedelics and stuff, and it's so much simpler than any of that, and it's beyond even simple. So I didn't know it's just this plain.
Very. And stay open. Um, that's
Yeah,
just the way it's showing up now, but it's likely to surprise.
yeah,
Here's your best gauge of how present you are. How surprised are you? If you
yeah.
don't, if you don't have a sense of surprise, like that real sharp aliveness of wow, sense of awe, I'm going to encourage you to look closer because
Closer.
certainties have a way of giving us a sense of knowing something. And it might not always be intellectual, but it could still be a sense of knowing something. It's always a surprise. And one basic thing that you can do right now is just take your hand,
Hmm.
bring it up to your face, look at it, look at your hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Notice those lines, look closely. Are is any of those patterns predictable? Could you have held any of that in thought? Something this close is that new all the time.
Yeah.
So there's probably something else playing itself out here, but it's good.
Yeah.
The fact that I do get the sense that you do trust this process, I don't really think there's any issues showing up. I also, for some reason, intuitively am getting a sense that maybe some koan practice might be useful. We could even create a cheap koan right now. What is the question without an answer? Find it. And sit with that for a bit, and it'll start to show you something that even these things that seem dual, there's a tetralemma there too.
A
Nowhere really.
tetralemma? What does that mean?
It is what it is. It isn't what it is. It is both what it is and isn't what it is. It is neither what it is and
That's
what
what you
it
were saying
isn't.
earlier. Wow.
These these particular types of exploration begin to show up as a way to challenge that sense of certainty. It's certainty itself that gives us a sense of stagnancy, of permanence.
Hmm.
And fundamentally, in the human sense, we just follow the sensations, the energetics that seem to show up here, because there definitely is no certainty there. But I also
Hmm.
feel that you are in a pretty good spot. Something about the energies feels like, yeah, this is where you need to be, of course.
Yeah.
And it's if something shows up as certain, that's your cause for curiosity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then find where there are non-negotiables in that type of experience. It's encouraged to see if there are extremes, because that's where you'll find apparent limitations. Anytime you find a limitation, you are finding the limitations of the mind. Very potent place to explore any kind of limitation.
Yeah. And every time I explore a limitation or a seeming boundary, I can't find it, but it can still feel like there's a sense of it. Like, for example, like right now, like maybe not as much as before, which is a thought, but a localization, a center, even though I can't find that.
It's okay, you can't find it, but be careful about even can't finding it, because sometimes that becomes its own conclusion. Look again.
Interesting.
The necessity here is interpenetration. You are exploring fractals upon fractals upon fractals,
Right.
and it wants you to land somewhere. Even in this, I can't find it. Look again.
It wants you to land somewhere. Yeah. Interesting. So, like, even to say like something is arising or collapsing, I'm not sure that's the case.
Truly,
And if it is arising, then it's collapsing at the very moment it's arising. Like there's not like it's self-canceling, if you will. It
seems
seems
to, of
like that.
course. What doesn't apply to that sympathetic relationship?
What doesn't apply to that sympathetic relationship? I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Anytime you're given a contrast, it's
Mm,
actually it's actually telling on itself. There's a relationship there. Look closely. Is it
mm,
separate or different at all? Any contrast, it's telling you something that the mind has arbitrarily decided to form an abstract wedge in that experience. It's like taking your hand and putting it in a bucket of water and splashing and going, look, I divided it in half.
mm.
But
It's so
then
clever.
but then I say, look again, and you look back in the bucket and you're like, wait, it's just water. But the mind will conclude for that moment. So the important part is look again, persistently, vigilantly.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see that attention is already doing that anyway,
Mm,
or whatever you want to call it. I mean, at some
sure.
point, the words just break down and we just float in the quantum ether.
Yeah, every once in a while I get those deep belly laughs. And then that laugh itself will like snap me out of it, which is weird. And then I'll
Okay.
look for it again.
But I'm here now. There is no before.
Yeah,
There's only this. It moves and changes. Consider all of your physical reality made of the same block of clay, and it can take any form. It can look like a sailboat, and then it can look like a giraffe. But
for sure.
fundamentally, it is the same block of clay. So it doesn't matter how it appears. That's
Right.
it.
That's it.
You might start to see maybe some very subtle strategies here that it needs a sense of before to know what this is. Is that true?
Interesting. There's a slight toggling in the mind that might toggle to a before. You're right. There's like this utterance. It has to move.
Not a problem, but just really watch that mechanism of action closely,
So
and
subtle.
it illuminates itself.
Yeah.
And you do have a good point. I find that there's something you said about in the seeing, there's only seeing. Consider every experience the only experience. There is no other.
Yeah, that's crazy. Then the curiosity pops up. It's like, is there anything happening at all?
Hmm. Now you know why these pointings show up. There's nothing here. There's
It's
nothing.
just like, there's, but I also can't say nothing is happening.
Right.
But I'm
Once
not,
again,
yeah, it's like I can't go anywhere. I can't land on anything.
what is a paradox that has more than two sides?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the word paradox because I feel like when I'm doing this work, like the closer, or rather, mm, just as a phrase, the closer I get to what seems to be truer than what's false, the more paradoxical it is.
Yes, I mean we know this even scientifically. When they
Huh,
were looking for absolute zero, at first they were within 1 degree, 1 unit, and then they were within a tenth of a degree, 10 units, and then a hundredth of a degree, a
I
hundred
see.
units. And as they got closer, they got further away. This is the nature of it. There's nothing to find. There is no conclusion. I promise you that. But it's best to take a bite of that strawberry for oneself. I can't
Yeah.
transmit the flavor into your mouth, but I can be very persistent in saying, keep going, look closer, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And before you know it, that acceleration reaches a pristine stillness. Spin a coin
Right.
on a tabletop and watch it seemingly seem to increase in frequency before it comes to a complete stop.
Interesting. That's so cool.
Follow that signature. The signature is clear, and you'll notice it. In some weird way, you'll be able to track it until there's no tracking. There you go. Sensation's a great way to do it, but there's infinite portals, of course. There's as many paths as there are human beings that have ever existed. So have fun.
It gets more and more fun, actually. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're
Thank you.
here. I appreciate
I'm very glad I'm here. Thank you.
I love the curiosity so much. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, Sarah.
Hello. Um, so I guess my question, or I don't even know how to put it, but I met with you a couple of years ago, and I feel like my question was the same, even though I'm sure it wasn't the same, but it was just um, the seeking, the awakening. Um, whatever that is, as sort of like the jumping off point for whatever this is. And I'm still there in some ways. What was coming up for me as y'all were talking was at first it was like there's this almost like the cynicism that I have. And I'm comparing that to this appearance of just openness and almost innocence that I see on other people's faces when they're talking about stuff. And I know that's just a perception, but then also what came up was like a trust too. So there's like cynicism and there's also this just like this deep trust and this knowing and whatever is happening, which feels like paradox. Um, and then the other thing that's been coming up for me recently is just sort of the relationship or the attachment to sort of the social matrix, and that like almost like getting hits off of approval or having this perception about a relationship and then having it disproved in a good way. And so getting this like hit, just sort of this attachment or this like push and pull on identity in relation to my perception of where it falls with the people that I am around. Um, so just kind of watching that and just kind of watching the reactions and watching the mind make up all sorts of stories about it and stuff. So yeah, I think that's, I don't know if it's not a question, it's a let's hear it now.
There are definitely some fun things that are coming up in this. Hmm. Okay, so there is a hidden contract that we somehow have all either been kind of embroiled in or otherwise engaged in. We signed it, and it's the contract of satisfaction. The trick with satisfaction is if we play the game of satisfaction, then we must follow that cycle all the way through, however it shows up. We're basically toppling the dominoes. So, what I would encourage you to do is look at that nature of satisfaction. What is the nature of satisfaction? What is it getting me? And is it worth the price? Fundamentally, satisfaction is some predictive notion of something that's upcoming and how to meet that particular criteria. In the meantime, that's all happening to cover something else up. It's a game, it's a baiting game that's afoot. And what it's covering up is this other perception of what we call dissatisfaction or discomfort. We pursue satisfaction as a way to mitigate and modify our perceived sense of discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you depart from discomfort, you will be playing the game of satisfaction. There is only one way here, and that is to sit so thoroughly with what you are and what you feel that you're no longer prone to playing the game of satisfaction. And you will see that our reality isn't really discomfort. It only appears that way to a mind that is hell-bent on satisfying itself. And that's it. Now, to bring it into a more heart-oriented space, because I can kind of feel some of that with you, it's kind of like this. That cynicism and that doubt isn't really talking about what's upcoming. That's just the way that it speaks. It's talking about something that's showing up right here. That doubt has a sympathetic relationship with a wounding that is coming to the surface. So I'm really encouraging you to feel what hurts when you're experiencing cynicism and doubt, because I can guarantee that you're hurting in that moment. And that doubt is designed to somehow pull you away from that sense of wounding. But if you allow yourself to come into complete contact with that wounding, it will tear you apart in the best way. It will have you be reborn. And then we can talk about awakening this way. When is awakening? When is it? It's not a mystery. The mind makes it a mystery. When does it take place?
My brain has an answer.
That's it.
It is awake. This is awake. It is
Wait,
now. It's the brain's
it's
answer.
now.
Yeah.
But really, now with that answer, now just sit with that.
Right.
If awakening is now, then this, whatever this is awakening.
Yeah.
And if there's something undesirable or distasteful about this, then you will begin to see how you are actively avoiding your own awakening.
And that'll make sense to me. And that has been my path for several years, is just kind of trying to be with what is like following the sensations of the body, the emotion body kind of as it arises and just resting with it as best I can. And then shadow work and like I had a session with Angelo and a bunch came up, and then I've had some like psychedelic experiences and stuff where a bunch came up. And so I feel like that feeling into the body um and resting with what it is as best I can without trying to distract, even though it's still going to happen, has been my practice, I guess. And the other thing that was coming up for me is almost like when I'm practicing or resting as awareness or unbound consciousness or whatever. Like I feel like even in meditation that there's this like almost like an ulterior motive of like this practice is for a certain thing, which I recognize as a thought, but it feels like it's such an embed thought that it's hard to see it as a thought, just like the trying to get somewhere or like perceived outcome or whatever.
I promise you, it all is surrounding a feeling that you are feeling right now.
Hmm.
All of this.
Cool.
Are you are you going to touch it?
I am. I mean, and I talked to you about this last time. I mean, for me, like the core, it's like there's this like deep, like solar plexus, just like sensation that's almost constantly there that I feel like I'm always tapping into and trying to rest with.
This is perfect.
Um, yeah.
Another way to explore this, just to maybe open it up a tad, observe just what happens in that. What comes in secondarily to modify that experience, to protect, to hide, to mute it, or whatever. Get used to even that part too.
Well,
See how that pattern works. And then start to recognize complicity. How are you participating in that pattern? And then withhold complicity. Don't participate.
okay.
I will say this, it seems to be universal. Not sure, but maybe this will be worth exploring for you. The unfolding or the unwinding of all this seems to show up in the expression itself. And I'm talking the profound sense of grief or whatever it is that comes to the surface. It's that that will wake you up.
Hmm. Cool. So, thank you.
Nice to see you. All right, Deborah.
Hi, Josh.
Right.
Let me change my. I only want to see you. There we go. And can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Okay. Um, I'm gonna. I'm not sure about the languaging that I can use here. The languaging is. I want. What I want is for you to play with me in inquiry playfulness to help me recognize um, when I recognize just this, I think it's that my mind tries to stop it or something, because just this for me is very alive and happening. Even stillness has some movement. Even darkness has light. It's like it's not like boom, this and stopped. So it feels to me like a verbing is always happening. Like, and I'm not separate from it. And I love not being separate from it. From it. And it's not like it is even like verbing. I don't know. Maybe you can ask me questions to help me understand what's happening.
Okay, so here's the first thing I noticed. Something in you was, you noticed an insight and then something made a conclusion. And in that conclusion, there is a hesitation or some kind of locking away of curiosity. So does that make sense? If you say, even in light, there is still darkness, something is now removing itself from that experience as soon as you conclude that way. So what I'm encouraging you to do is, can you get closer to that experience that
Okay.
has light or dark, just whatever shows up there?
Okay, so let me just let me just I don't see it as either or, I see it as both and.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying, is that's still a conclusion. So that
Okay.
creates another either or dichotomy.
Oh, huh.
Here's what I want you to look at just real quick.
Yeah, yeah,
Notice
yeah.
any contrast in your experience, anything that stands out.
So say, ask that again. Point to that again, please.
Notice any contrast right now in your experience, something that stands out. What is it?
Um, like a, like just to say something, I'm looking out over my screen at, there's a white color and a green color. Is that what you mean? Like the
Yeah.
color?
Pick one aspect of the experience just to hone in on
Okay.
something. If it's one of those colors, that's fine.
Okay.
What do you see?
Um, well, I actually see, I, I don't think this is what you're pointing me to, but I actually see something between my eyes and the wall that is green.
Notice what happened there. You let an interpretation interfere with just moving into the experience. Don't worry about what I'm pointing to.
Oh, that's okay. It's like I want you to help me
I see what's going on.
recognize.
Are you worried that you're going to do something wrong or get it wrong somehow?
No,
Then how do you know that it's not what I'm pointing to?
I don't.
Hmm, it's good. Notice these things, though. These little buffers are designed to interfere in some way,
I
for
love
sure.
them. Yeah.
How about this? We can move into something even more direct. How about a body sensation? What do you notice?
Okay. I noticed that one of my legs was crossed over, and I immediately uncrossed it so I could feel. So it was like this correction that happened.
Okay, uncorrect it.
Yeah.
Go back the other way. There you go. That's going to bring something up. What did you notice about that experience?
There was this recognition of correction. Um, there were like there weren't these words, okay, but there was like this. Okay, I have to cross my legs so I can really feel this. So it wasn't like words telling me that.
Of
It was,
course. Yes. So when we start moving into more direct experience, we'll start to realize more kind of like subconscious thought, essentially, things that are attempting to make small adjustments.
yeah,
And the first thing I will say that will help you is that by itself is somehow promoting a sense of contrast, a sense of it's supposed to be this way, it's not supposed to be this way, a sense of right, a sense of wrong, something like that. The best way for you to really start to entertain this is to allow it to get messy. Do it wrong. And I mean it. In that, it'll start to bring something to the surface, and that will be unavoidable.
That actually sounds like fun.
Do it wrong.
Yeah.
See what comes up.
I feel delight in you telling me to do it wrong. What? I mean, I don't feel like I'm doing anything, but I feel other than feeling the delight.
It's perfect. Now, kind of going back to what you originally asked, we can kind of entertain that a little bit.
Okay.
I want you to notice any thought as it arises and just speak it out loud. Let it stay simple.
Okay.
Speak it.
Speak. The thought was, uh, I'm thirsty.
What is that thought creating a contrast with? What is it comparing to?
Well, I mean, the opposite, the
Well, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't have to be,
doesn't have to be.
but let's do it again. Stay close with it. What next thing that comes up, speak to it.
So the thought was a noticing something happening in my body that felt very substantial in the solar plexus.
Is the thought a noticing or is the noticing a noticing?
I don't know how to tell the difference.
It's good. Usually the thoughts we want to watch out for are the ones that have some sort of verbal quality. But the natural motion of attention itself, is that a thought? Do we even need to be concerned if that's a thought or not?
Yeah, so I appreciate this because there were no words. You know, like with the thirsty thing, there was words. There were
There you,
words. But with noticing, there was something that dropped
that's right. That's attention itself.
to my solar plexus, and so was this like the mind qualifying the sense of substantiality?
Well, in real time, you're actually seeing something that is part of what you were asking for. That the narration after the fact is what gives it a sense of object. What's before that sense of object? It's simply the noticing.
Yeah,
And what does the noticing notice? The noticing. The
yeah,
noticing notices the noticing.
yeah.
How thoroughly can you allow noticing to notice noticing, notice, noticing, notice, noticing? Keep driving attention in that way. And then if a thought comes up, challenge it in terms of, I mean, really a question we can all ask is compared to what? Because oftentimes it's giving us some kind of affirmative conclusion. And if we don't ask compared to what, then we tend to buy into it because thoughts have a sense of confidence when they present. It's a suggestion that's confident. And that confidence gives a sense that, oh, I know something. Compared to what? And if you're not able to find a contrast, in the looking is noticing again. Looking for the contrast, you'll start to notice a gap. Just the noticing itself is a gap. There's no knowing there. There's no knowing in the attention. And if it seems to land somewhere, so like a body space or whatever, that's fine too. But what is happening before object arises? The curiosity itself, just the noticing. Notice the noticing and watch for the contrasts in thought. Because a thought cannot exist without an apparent contrast.
Got it.
It's comparing something. Every thought needs a reference point. It needs to know what it is not to know what it is. And my sense is that will be useful for you to notice that particular nature of thought because the first thing that started coming up for you naturally is noticing. That's interesting. That's basically what you're asking for. Automatically, naturally, you moved into noticing.
Yeah.
How interesting.
The noticing feels, um, it does feel like my nature, or um, like important, like it's clear. And then the afterthought, right, is the naming, which I have um, it's like I don't like the naming. I don't want it to be named. I don't, what, like, why do I care?
That's right. It does remind me of something somebody I was working with this week mentioned, and it was really good pointing. And it's that um, the sound itself doesn't care about the sound. So wherever that particular sense of caring is, you're probably going to find something else there. And it's likely going to have a resonant form as a feeling or some kind of energetic experience, or maybe even an emotion in the body. Whatever cares has a personal quality to it. And that is usually a direct, well, I would say probably always a direct reflection of some kind of wounding. There is no identity without wounding, without pain, or the perception of pain. So then you'll start to notice how often that the mind is remanufacturing pain just to continue to exist. That's the nature of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff. My sense is we could, if this is something you really wanted to dive into, come have a session, mainly because I think this probably goes a lot further than this.
I'm sure it does. I feel like this would be fun to explore.
Yeah. Glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.